The legendary voice is still echoing across concert halls in 2025, but few know about the heartbreaking vow that drives every single performance. At 85 years old, Sir Tom Jones continues defying time itself, recently completing shows across Europe and North America. Yet behind those powerful vocals lies a promise so profound it literally keeps him alive. This isn't just another celebrity story. This is about love, betrayal, and a commitment that transcends death itself. Most people see the glittering surface of Tom Jones' six-decade career, but the real story begins in the coal-stained streets of Wales during World War II. Young Thomas Woodward entered this world when Britain was bleeding resources and hope seemed as scarce as food. His father descended into dangerous mines daily while his mother Freda struggled to keep their family warm in a house heated only by scraps of coal. Tom wore patched hand-me-downs and learned early that survival meant fighting for every opportunity. The defining moment of his childhood wasn't fame or fortune, it was tuberculosis. At just 12 years old, Tom was quarantined for 2 years, trapped behind his bedroom window while life continued without him. Neighbors crossed the street to avoid their house, and family members wore masks just to bring him food. Death felt closer than dreams during those endless months of coughing and fever. But isolation became his secret weapon. While other kids played outside, Tom discovered American blues and gospel through his record player, developing the voice that would eventually conquer the world. During his quarantine, a young girl named Linda Trenchard would walk past his house every day, always stopping to wave at the boy trapped behind glass. Those small gestures of connection planted seeds that would bloom into a love story spanning nearly 6 decades. School proved another battleground Tom couldn't win. Struggling with undiagnosed dyslexia, teachers labeled him lazy while reading and writing felt like impossible puzzles. By 16, he'd given up on education entirely, choosing instead what he called booze and girls over books. This wasn't rebellion, it was survival instinct kicking in. Tom knew his future lay somewhere else, though he couldn't yet see where. Marriage came shockingly early when Linda became pregnant at just 16. In 1957, teenage Tom suddenly found himself responsible for a wife and newborn son Mark, while most boys his age were still in school. The pressure was crushing. He worked construction by day, factory shifts by night, and door-to-door sales whenever possible, earning a measly £2 per week. But evenings belonged to music. Tom sang in smoky pubs and working men's clubs, where rowdy crowds gave him his first taste of real performance. These weren't glamorous venues, they were survival gigs that put food on the table while feeding his soul. Each night on stage felt like stepping into another dimension where poverty couldn't touch him. The teenager who struggled with reading could command any room with his voice, and that power became his lifeline. Everything shifted in 1963, when Tom joined Tommy Scott and the Senators as their new lead singer. Their previous vocalist had mysteriously vanished, leaving an opening that would change music history. Tom's explosive energy and raw vocal power transformed every performance into an unforgettable experience. He'd leap from stages, work crowds into frenzies, and pour every ounce of emotion into each song. They dominated the South Wales club scene, but breaking into London seemed impossible until fate intervened. Gordon Mills, a manager from London with Welsh roots, attended one of their shows and immediately recognized something extraordinary. Mills struck a deal that would later cause massive legal battles. He convinced Tom's current managers to surrender their rights for just 5% of future earnings. This decision would cost them millions. Mills relocated Tom to London and gave him a new identity, Tom Jones, named after the 1963 film. This wasn't just a name change, it was a complete reinvention designed to appeal to both British and international audiences. The transformation from Thomas Woodward to Tom Jones marked the birth of a legend, though success was still far from guaranteed. The path to stardom nearly ended before it began with one devastating failure. Tom's debut single Chills and Fever completely flopped in late 1964, selling practically nothing and failing to chart anywhere. The failure hit like a physical blow. Tom was broke, Linda had to work in a factory, and dreams felt more like delusions. He seriously considered abandoning music entirely, but Gordon Mills refused to surrender. Mills convinced Tom to record a demo of It's Not Unusual, a song originally intended for Sandy Shaw. Tom begged for the chance to make it his own, and Mills agreed to this final gamble. When It's Not Unusual exploded onto the charts in February 1965, reaching #1 in the UK by March 13th, it felt like divine intervention. The song climbed to number 10 on the US Billboard Hot 100, transforming Tom from a struggling singer into an overnight sensation. Suddenly, he was appearing on legendary shows like Ed Sullivan, proving that sometimes one song really can change everything. The same year brought film theme opportunities that cemented his place in entertainment history. What's New Pussycat showcased his playful side and hit number 11 in the US, while Thunderball became one of the greatest Bond themes ever recorded. When Tom sang that final note, He held it so long and with such intensity that he actually fainted, creating a moment of pure vocal legend. Las Vegas became Tom's kingdom from the late 1960s through 2011, an incredible 44-year reign that defined an era. Starting at the Flamingo, he quickly became the undisputed king of the Strip's nightlife scene. By the late 1960s, his shows drew such massive crowds that people waited hours just for a chance to see him perform. He was earning an astronomical $100,000 per week, equivalent to nearly $1 million weekly in today's money. His Vegas performances became legendary spectacles where women would throw their undergarments onto the stage, creating scenes of pure pandemonium that became his trademark. These weren't just concerts, they were cultural events that attracted Hollywood's biggest stars. Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra both became close friends, recognizing Tom as a peer rather than just another performer. The working-class boy from Wales had conquered the entertainment capital of the world through sheer vocal power and magnetic charisma. Beyond the stage, Tom proved himself a savvy businessman, investing in airlines, slot machine companies, and real estate ventures that secured his financial future. His smart investments ensured wealth long after the cheers faded, building a fortune that reached around $300 million by 2025. Vegas wasn't just where Tom performed. It was where he built an empire that would sustain him for life. Behind the glittering facade lay shocking secrets that would destroy lives and relationships. At the height of his fame, Tom admitted to sleeping with approximately 250 different women every year, nearly 5 different partners each week. This was an exaggeration or publicity stunt. It was a devastating confession that revealed the true cost of his success. His wife, Linda, the girl who had waved to him through his quarantine window, suffered in silence as endless scandals erupted around their marriage. The constant headlines and gossip broke her spirit, transforming the supportive teenager into a depressed recluse who withdrew from the world entirely. Tom later admitted his behavior had scarred Linda and destroyed her happiness, but the damage was already irreversible. One particularly shocking affair in 1973 with Marjorie Wallace, the first American Miss World, cost her the crown when photos of them kissing on a beach went public. The scandal destroyed her engagement to Peter Revson and drove her to a complete breakdown that required hospitalization after an overdose. Another disturbing incident involved Cassandra Peterson, later famous as Elvira, who described losing her virginity to Tom at 17 as a nightmare that required medical stitches. She later said she wished she had waited for Elvis instead, revealing the traumatic impact of their encounter. Through it all, Linda became a prisoner in their Los Angeles mansion, avoiding public life and rarely leaving home while Tom remained beloved by millions worldwide. The most devastating scandal began in October 1987 when Tom met 24-year-old aspiring model Catherine Berkery at a New York nightclub. What started as a 3-night affair at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel would create a secret that haunted Tom for decades. 3 months later, Catherine discovered she was pregnant, but when she reached out to Tom's team, she received a cold, brutal response. "That's showbiz, darling. Do what you have to do." On June 27, 1988, she gave birth to a boy named Jonathan, but Tom refused to acknowledge paternity. The legal battle that followed was vicious and public, with Tom's lawyers attacking Catherine's character and painting her as a gold digger. A court-ordered DNA test proved with nearly 100% certainty that Tom was Jonathan's father, forcing him to pay child support, including private school tuition at Ivy League rates. But while the money flowed, fatherly love never came. Tom kept his distance, refused visits, avoided court hearings, and maintained no personal contact whatsoever. For nearly 2 decades, he would claim in interviews that he had only one child, Mark, his son with Linda. Jonathan grew up in the shadows, struggling with anger, addiction, and homelessness, while his famous father pretended he didn't exist. The boy who should have inherited a musical legacy instead inherited only rejection and pain. The year 2016 brought Tom's world crashing down when Linda, his wife of 59 years, was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. The illness moved with terrifying speed, and Linda died on April 10 at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles. Tom was on tour when he received the devastating news, immediately canceling all shows across Asia and the Middle East to be by her side. Their love story, which had survived poverty, fame, scandals, and betrayals, finally reached its heartbreaking conclusion. In her final week, Linda showed extraordinary strength and grace. Even while suffering, she thought only of Tom's future, making him promise something that would define the rest of his life. "You can't fall with me," she told him, demanding that he continue performing and find purpose beyond her death. Linda remained the calmest person in the room, while Tom and their son Mark could barely hold themselves together. That deathbed promise became Tom's anchor, inspiring him to record "I Won't Crumble With You If You Fall," a song that captures the essence of their final conversation. The grief was crushing. Tom admitted to days when he couldn't leave bed, haunted by dreams of Linda followed by the painful reality of her absence. Only therapy sessions and his promise to Linda kept him from completely falling apart. Tom's body began betraying him, even as his voice remained strong. In 2017, he underwent his first hip replacement surgery after decades of performing had destroyed his left hip joint. The pain had become unbearable, forcing him to sit during most performances and use walking canes for support. In 2022, at age 82, he needed his right hip replaced as well, joking on social media that Papa has 2 new hips now. Between surgeries, he resorted to bizarre pain management techniques, including hanging upside down like a bat, using inversion therapy equipment he kept backstage. Tom refused painkillers, preferring to endure agony rather than dull his senses. During a 2022 concert in Budapest, he collapsed and had to cancel shows, sparking fears about his mortality. Recent health scares in 2025 included canceling a Bremen concert due to an upper respiratory infection, reminding fans that even legends are human. Despite everything, Tom refuses to retire, stating bluntly, "Time off would be death for me. The only time I'll take off is when I die." His 2025 tour schedule remains packed with over 50 shows planned, proving that Linda's promise still drives every performance. Each night on stage becomes an act of defiance against time, age, and mortality itself. As 2025 unfolds, Tom Jones continues honoring the promise that keeps him alive. At 85, he's completed successful tours across Europe and North America, released new material including Surrounded by Time, and filmed another season of The Voice UK. Recent reports suggest he's living with Priscilla Presley, finding companionship without betraying Linda's memory. His June 2025 birthday concert on YouTube celebrated 85 years of an extraordinary life, watched by millions of fans worldwide. Meanwhile, his estranged son Jonathan, now 37, continues reaching out desperately for just one conversation before it's too late. Jonathan, who has struggled with homelessness and addiction, recently told media, "I don't want help with my career. I just want to meet my father before it's too late." The tragic irony isn't lost. While Tom honors his promise to his dead wife, he continues ignoring his living son's pleas. But Linda's final words echo through every performance. "You can't fall with me." Tom Jones, the coal miner's son who conquered the world, remains true to that vow. Whether driven by love, guilt, or pure stubbornness, he keeps performing, proving that some promises transcend even death itself. The voice that emerged from quarantine windows in Wales still echoes across the globe, carrying with it the weight of a love story that defined a lifetime.